Hello friends, good morning. Welcome to Astra, the daily current affairs from the Hindu. This is exclusively for Union Public Service Commission Civil Services Examination. So I am going to discuss about what are the important themes from 7th of April 2023 Hindu newspaper for your prelims as well as for your mains. So let's start with the front page. Online platforms must take down PIB flagged fake news. Now, what government of India has said this, mighty ministry has said that those whoever is spreading fake news in social media and some social intermediary platforms, they have to take down the fake news if it is said by PIB that it is a fake news. In PIB, that is Press Information Bureau, you have a separate team which will be looking at into the news whether that is fake news or correct news. Now, after knowing it, PIB will be publishing which is fake news, which is correct news. Once PIB says that this is fake news, it will be the responsibility of the social media intermediaries like Twitter, Facebook, etc. to take down their that fake news. So this is in line. This is a very good thing to happen where you can use GS paper 4 and good governance. RBI Monetary Policy Committee was met yesterday, that is on 7th of April 2023, 6th of April 2023, and what they did, they have paused the policy rate at 6.5%. So everyone thought that it is going to be increased by another 25 basis points, but they have hold it at 6.5. Now what the committee said is, this is just a pause, a small break, a small gap. It is not pivot. Pivot means this is not the, we cannot assure you that this is going to be stalling here. Maybe in the next monetary policy committee, they might increase it by at least some 25 to 30 basis points. So in this context, what is important, guys? You have to know what is monetary policy committee in your static current affairs, in static part. Who are the members of this monetary policy committee? How monetary policy committee was formed in 2016? This is through Finance Bill of 2016 by amending the RBI Act of 1934. And how many members will be there? How the decisions will be taken by these members, and whether the RBI governor will have veto power or not. All these are static part that you have to remember. Permissions for skyscrapers rise. This hints public preference towards gated communities. Now this can be written as a sentence or advantage, or this can be written as an explanation whenever you are reading about the changing preferences of the customers over a period of time. So you can write it this as a concept of culture, modernity concepts. You can use this in ethics and essay writing, just the heading. Okay, people are now preferring gated communities rather than going with the entire society. Amid tight security, Hanuman Jayanti Shobha Yatra passes off peacefully in Hyderabad. This can be again written as an example for our religious secular context. Next one is rain lashes and hail lashes the city, traffic crawls. So this is persistent problem in the cities of India, urbanization problems. Whenever there is some amount of rainfall, obviously the cities are getting like drains. So in this context, you can just remember this heading, and in disaster management, you can write these examples. Next one, Right to Health campaign is the program launched by whom? Rajasthan government. So this is just regarding this. Now we all know that the Rajasthani private doctors have opposed this bill. Then the government has made them to come together to some terms, and they have come to agreement, right? So through some provisions they have made. Groaning under the weight of RTI backlogs. So the number of RTI backlogs in the state of Telangana has been subsistently increasing. In this context, this article is written. No need to write specific answer for Telangana. Generally, what are the problems of RTI Act, and what is the statements that was said when this act was launched? These things can be taken. So from this, there are 4 things that you have taken from this entire article. One is what Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh said regarding to this information. What is section 4 clause 1 clause B? What is section 25 clause 1 and section 25 clause 4? So these are the things that is there in this. So starting with what Prime Minister Modi, former Prime Minister has said about this. So former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh said on the eve of RTI Act 2005 that we live in the age of information in which free flow of information determines the pace of development and the well-being of people. And information is the most fundamental right, and right to know is a fundamental right concept. So in this RTA Acts, you can write this statement, the best statement that Prime Minister has given. You can write this. And what are the above sections? Section 4(1)(b) says that there should be voluntary disclosure of information by public authorities to public information such as manuals, rules, regulations, budgetary allocations, details of implementation of the schemes. So this is voluntary disclosure of information. Section 25 clause 1 says that the RTI office has to submit annually a report about the implementation of the act, and this act will be discussed. This report will be discussed in state legislative assemblies as per Article 20, Section 25, Clause 4. So these are the things that you have to remember for this. So the highlighted copy can be downloaded from the website, from the description box that I have given. All the world is a gallery. So just like Shakespeare, all the world is a stage. So if you open your eyes a little wide, then you can enjoy the gallery that is surrounding around you. So very different conception of Ram Rajya. Now recently, this was written by Shashi Tharoor. I am not going into the details of this because this was quite political in nature, but there are some important aspects for UPSC from this. So what Mr. Shashi Tharoor is saying is, what is the difference between Hindutva and Hinduism? What is the philosophy of Dr. Gandhi versus Savarkar? Now, what is Gandhi's philosophy of Ram Rajya and how Gandhiji strived to have truth? So, in this context, he has given. Now, recently there has been Hanuma Jayanti and there has been Ram Navami. In this context, people are carrying some sticks, they are carrying some swords in their hands as a rally, as the mob is moving on. So, this he calls it as the weaponization of faith. So, weaponization of faith is increasing today. Now, why this is increasing? This is because of jingoistic Hindutva movement that is going on in the present ruling dispensation. Now again, this is not as per my decision, this is as per Shashi Tharoor's comment. Now what he is telling? So Gandhiji's concept of Rama Rajya was utopian concept where a vision of perfect social harmony, economic justice and political freedom is enshrined. So this is one of the best examples for Rama Rajya. But what Gandhiji has did is, he has tried to collaborate truth and Gandhi. Now what he says is, Gandhi tried to evolve truth. How he tried to evolve truth? Through Satyagraha, and the conviction to stand for the truth has made Gandhiji to be one of the most successful philosophers of the world. He is not just a leader, he is a philosopher of the world. Now what Gandhiji has did? Now everyone thought that Satyagraha is holding on to the truth. So some people will think that Satyagraha is a weak concept. Only the weak will do Satyagraha. But Gandhiji's concept of Satyagraha is not for the weak, but it is only for the strong. Now what Gandhi says is, truth can be sustained by only those people who are striving to know the Satya. As a result, they have to undergo immense pain in order to know what exactly is the truth, or in order to bring what is the truth. Hence, a Satyagrahi will always be prepared to suffer to know the truth. Hence, Satyagraha is not passive movement, it is active movement and not passive movement. So, it is unlike the so-called passive resistance of the British. Satyagraha is an active requirements, right? It is holding on to the truth with our conviction, right? Non-cooperation to non-alignment. So what Gandhiji has said is, he has brought these concepts like non-cooperation to non-alignment mean much more than denial of opposite. It did not merely imply absence of violence. This is the infliction of suffering of the opponent by oneself with patience, with peace. So to demonstrate one's strength of conviction is Satyagraha. Now why he is telling all this? The present some Hindu radical elements, what they are doing is, they are weakening Gandhiji's morale or Gandhiji's philosophical morale. As a result, he is telling all these things. And finally, what he said is, Hinduism versus Hindutva, there is a lot of difference. Hinduism is the great philosophy of the Hindu religion, which is very accommodative, which is very peaceful, but the radical elements of this religion is taking away the crux of Hinduism. This is what Mr. Shashi Tharoor is saying. Please avoid going into the political aspects, what he has written, but take the substance like what exactly is Hinduism, what is Hindutva, what is Gandhiji's concept of Ramarajya, what is Gandhiji's concept of Satyagraha from this. And political science and international relations students, you have to take this because Gandhi as a thinker you have in GS paper, PSAR paper. Macron, Sunak, and an appetite of risk taking. Now, this is about the European politics or European changing turmoil. What happened recently? France President Mr. Macron, he has increased the age of retired employees from 60 to 62 years. As a result, there was huge agitations. As per Emmanuel Macron, he has increased this age limit for some purpose. What is that purpose? In order to save the budget of France and in order to ensure that as the life expectancy of the people is increasing, so they will contribute more with their experience. However, this was one highly risk thing that he has taken. As a result, the opposition parties came together and they are fighting against the ruling party. This is as far as Macron is considered. Now, what about UK's president? That is Sunak, right? Now, what he is doing is, in the age of refugee crisis, recently the UK Prime Minister, Mr. Rishi Sunak, has passed a law. What is that law? To deport all the illegal migrants, almost 45,000 illegal migrants who have entered into Europe, United Kingdoms in the year 2022. Not only that, he wanted to deport the people who entered earlier to 2022 also. So this is against the European Court of Human Rights, UN Refugee Agency and Amnesty International, who have opposed Mr. Sunak's scheme. But despite of this opposition, he is continuing. So they are taking the risks. We have to wait and watch how these risks, like Macron's risk of increasing the age of 60 to 62 years for retirement, and then Sunak's experiment of deporting all the refugees who have entered into this scene. So these are very risk-taking attitudes, and that is going to shape the internal political dimensions of European countries. That is what he is telling. So only this is the message, no need to read in depth. Open justice, this is about the Supreme Court striking down the Kerala government and Kerala High Court verdict on what? They have suspended one media known as Media One on the name of national security and the name of government security. They have not allowed the media persons to enter into in publishing some articles. In this context, Supreme Court has said that opposition to the ruling disposition cannot be considered as an opposition to the government or opposition to the so-called state. So you should take away the so-called the ban that was kept on this Media One, and now Supreme Court has protected the media rights from arbitrary legislative and arbitrary executive action. So this is what it is said. So this is something which is good coming from Supreme Court. Only one thing. The second thing is recently Kerala High Court has done one thing extraordinary. While banning this Media One, they have heard the statements in an closed envelope. Now what Supreme Court said is, what is there to listen this in the closed envelope? Let us make it public so that public should know what exactly is happening, and the media persons should know what exactly they have done the mistake. By restricting the media persons, by not giving the access, that on what grounds they were suspended, it is again against the fundamental rights of the press. So these are the things that the article is speaking. Only two things. Supreme Court has taken a visionary step in this by upholding the rights of the media. Substance and subtext, this is about the Bhutanese king visit to India. Now in this context, they are telling how Bhutan is going to have a very good relationships. Obviously, Bhutan and India share a very formidable relationships. Now we had cooperation in many areas, and we are trying to go for hydroelectric power generation is the cornerstone. And then there are some delays in the project that India has taken. This can be for prelims question. Sankosh and Punat Sanghu projects are in Nepal, and there is an Chukka, the oldest project, is also under some disturbances. So these three things can be asked in prelims. So what I mean to say is, what is the existing cooperation between India and Bhutan? The existing cooperation between India and Bhutan is very, very historical. It is cultural, right? And it is strategic. Now, Bhutan shares our borders of almost 600 kilometers, and it acts as a good buffer between India and China. India also ensured that the big brother attitude of India is not harmed or has not harmed India-Bhutan's relationships. And the next one is Bhutan gets largest developmental aid from India. Bhutan, for Bhutan, the largest market or largest sources of imports is India. As a result, Bhutan is heavily dependent on India, and India buys power generated in Bhutan. Hydroelectricity has become one of the biggest revenue earners. Historically also, there was some 17th century to identify Bhutan as distinct from Tibet. India has said that Bhutan should be recognized as a separate entity. So even after independence, we maintained the same thing. And during the present ruling dispensation, even our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi visited Bhutan as his first leg of foreign affairs. So all this says that what exactly is the relationships that has been underlying the Bhutan and India's in the perspective of culture, in the perspective of history, in the perspective of polity, in the perspective of economy, as well as in the context of the contemporary times. So, however, in the year 2017, we have Treaty of Friendship, and as per this Treaty of Friendship, both countries agreed that if there are some strategical alignments which are happening in the respective borders, what we have to do is you have to discuss together and then make a deal. Now, why this is being discussed is recently the Bhutanese Prime Minister, what he has said is the Bhutan Prime Minister has given a statement that we are going to solve the problem of Doklam by having a bilateral discussion with China. Now, this has sent some apprehensions in India whether Bhutan is going to consider China or not. But by this visit, it is very clear that Bhutan and India wants to be the members whenever they want to discuss the so-called Doklam issue. And why Doklam is very crucial? Doklam is very crucial in the context that it is very near to our chicken neck corridor, the corridor that connects the mainland India with northeast India, the 32 kilometers narrow stretch is known as Doklam corridor, right? In this context, that article and this article can be read. So if you are interested to read, you please read this article, which is important today. Apart from only these things are important from today as far as editorials are considered. Next one is, so government amends rules regulating online real money gaming. Now, what is this online real money gaming? Many people, by downloading some apps like Online Rummy, they will be keeping the money and they will be playing. This is called gambling. So any game which involves money payment and which will keep the families and which will keep the persons involved in this activity to face some losses, then that type of gaming is not allowed in India. That comes under gambling. So government of India has come out with some new rules saying that all the players who are into this business of online gaming, they have to get registration, they have to get certificate from the self-regulating body called SRB. Unless and until they get this register registration, they cannot operate this thing. So the government will be controlling it. Ministry of Home Affairs recommends CBI probe on Oxfam India FCRA violations. Now this is again this year there might be a question on FCRA. FCRA works under Ministry of Home Affairs. What is this FCRA? Foreign Contributions Regulating Act. What exactly is this? If any NGO in India is getting foreign aid, it has to get license from FCRA or Ministry of Home Affairs to check whether they are using it for particular purpose or not. So they should not use this money for anti-Indian activities. This is the crux of FCRA. Now recently, what Ministry of Home Affairs said is, there was an NGO called Oxfam India, and this Oxfam India, what they did is they have not maintained FCRA norms. As a result, they are looking into it. The same thing was said during the context of Center Policy for Research, Center for Policy Research, CPR, and we all know that CPR was banned last month regarding this. So in this context, NGOs and FCRA rules is going to be a vital thing. Center and opposition blame each other for washout of budget second session. Again, this is something which is very bad, which is happening in the country. Now, blame game has started after leaving or after missing this entire opportunity of the budget session. As a result, where you can write this, you can write this in this problems in the Indian parliamentary system, pandemonium that is existing in the Indian parliamentary system. You can write all these things there. Now, a very beautiful example for GS paper 4 ethics is coming from Mr. Vinil Krishna, the 2005 IAS officer. Now, what exactly he has done? So Mr. Vinil Krishna, he was a 2005 batch IAS aspirant as IAS officer who was given the cadre of Odisha, Malkanjgiri. At that time, when he is serving as an IAS officer, he was abducted by Maoists and he was kept in their abduction. So after some agreements, they released him. So at that point of time, way back in the year 2011, when he was abducted, this area of Odisha, Malkanjgiri is huge, under huge influence of Maoists. Now, what he has done recently is he has again come back to the area as a person who is going to review how much improvements have come there. So, as an officer today, as a reviewer, what he has found is he had found his dream coming into reality. In 2011, he has dreamt that Malkanjgiri should be free from Maoism and there should be development, and exactly the same thing has happened here. Now, how it has happened? Because of an NGO which is known as Swabhiman Anchal. Swabhiman Anchal. So, young members of self-help groups, this is not NGO, sorry, it is self-help group known as Swabhiman Anchal. It has played a very crucial role in imbibing the confidence in the local people and in development of their local people. Thus, today, this area, the area which has abducted this person, today that area has been free from all types of violence. And what he says beautifully, Mr. Vinil Krishna says, development is the answer to the remoteness of any region. So this is how we have to tackle extremism, and this is the best example you can write in GS paper 4. Saudi Arabia, Iran reach agreement on joint plan. We all know this. China brokered a deal. So something again there. So in the text and context page, why is Japan circumventing sanctions on Russia? Not that important. So we all know that Russia was capped not to raise its barrel prices by $60 by the G7 countries. Japan has not followed this. It is importing at a higher rate, right? Only that thing, that is not that important. So guys, this is the things that we have in the current affairs. So if you are interested to read Vinil Krishna's article, and then you can read the so-called India-Bhutan relationship. These are the two important things. The rest one are just for your GS paper 4 and ethics answer writing substantiation. Thanks for joining. Have a great day.